Warning. You're about to enter the arena and join the battle to save America with your host, Sean Parnell.
Good evening, America. Welcome to the Battle Crew and to McGroin Nation. We love having you here in the live chat with us. It's Thursday. It's a great day to be an American, and from sea to shining sea and everybody in between. Welcome, Patriots. Do you ever realize that the Democrats, I think I know the answer to this question already, Mike, and that was, Democrats just lie about everything. You know that, right? It's absolutely unbelievable how often they lie. And I'm kicking off the show like this because it just seems like the party was never like this before. I mean, they used to have a political party that was centered around a message. My grandfather, lifelong Union Democrat, was a Democrat primarily because they backed the little guy. They backed the American working man. He didn't like Republicans because he thought that they were all fat cats. Back then, the Democrats used to fly American flags outside of their homes. There used to be a sense that they loved the country, even though that they had views that were different than that of conservatives. There was still a sense that they loved America. Well, it doesn't feel like that anymore. In fact, they have no message at all. Nothing, none, zip, zilch whatsoever. They lie about everything. The economy's great. Well, the economy's in shambles. We know that. We feel it every day. They get up there at the podium from the White House press room and say inflation is going down. Inflation isn't going down. Inflation is the worst it's been since Jimmy Carter. How about this one? Ukraine is winning. Ukraine is getting their asses kicked despite how much American taxpayer dollars that they receive. The border is secure. The border is a huge shit show, a tidal wave of human suffering. It's also a huge national security threat. Crime is through the roof. The Democrats will look at you right to your face and all their acolytes in the media and say that, look at this. We just got the FBI crime report, and gee, Willie Willikers, would you look at that? Crime is at its lowest point ever. Yeah, that's because, dumbasses, New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, Nashville, they don't report their crime statistics to the FBI anymore. Again, another brazen lie. How about Trump? When it comes to Trump, just the craziest shit in the world they lie about. The fine people hoax, the guillotine hoax yesterday. Oh, Trump wants to bring out the guillotine for people because he's a felon now and can't use a firearm. And then there, of course, was Guerrilla TV, the fake TV network that the media fell for. All that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of just guerrillas fighting. And the story, of course, you remember, was Trump just sits in the Lincoln bedroom in the White House and watches Guerrilla TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and does very little governing. The media actually printed that. The media believed that hoax, and because they thought it hurt Trump, they lied about it. Climate change, total hoax. Second Amendment, the NRA is a terrorist organization. Yeah, okay, the NRA has power for one reason only. That's because millions of Americans are members. How about this one? Biden is actually really smart and doesn't shit his pants in front of world leaders on the regular. Sorry, obviously you can tell I'm a little fired up here right off the top because the things that the Democrats do and the things that they say in the year 2024, it just seems like nothing that they do has the truth anywhere near it. The truth isn't even in the same universe as the Democrat Party anymore. So we got lots to talk about today. We're going to talk about Biden, Hunter, FARA recap. I want to make sure you understand exactly what I'm saying with regards to that. And then a timeline of lawfare against Donald Trump. Dems ramping up attacks on the SCOTUS. James Carville, he's a Democrat. Can't help but like the guy, is dropping truth bombs about the Democrats. Democrats just can't get their messaging right. Election fraud. Folks, there was a bombshell, and I hate that word, bombshell. There's a bombshell. We got a bombshell. There's a bombshell report released in the Gateway Pundit that confirms much of what we already know, but just yet another conspiracy theory bites the dust. You remember the postal worker, the contractor that worked for the U.S. Postal Service that drove ballots from New York City to Pennsylvania, and then the truck just disappears? Well, the Postal Service released an Inspector General report that confirms that, yep, Morgan, who is the subcontractor who worked for the Postal Service, actually was a driver for the post office and was driving a truck filled with bags. We're going to get to that. Then the deep state's next move. All of that and so much more on Battleground Live. Listen, folks, super psyched to have you all here today. Let me tell you real quickly about one of our show's sponsors, and that's Prepper Bars. Having gold or silver bars and coins available is great for protecting wealth. But if you need smaller chunks in a pinch, you'll need a pretty solid hacksaw. That's why we are introducing Prepper Bars. See, look, check out there, right there at the bottom of the screen right here. This is the website. You should check it out. But Prepper Bars are the disruptive new product that allows you to carry wealth in your wallet. This stuff is really, really cool. These perforated gold or silver bars allow you to easily detach smaller denominations ranging from 1.5 grams up to 7.7 grams. Prepper Bar now isn't prepper food. It's prepper wealth protection in these crazy uncertain times. I'm telling you, folks, this stuff is really cool. You go to their website right there at the bottom of the screen and check them out. Go to prepperbarnow.com and have these innovative bars sent to your home today to keep in your safe or in your wallet. Again, that's prepperbarnow.com. Also, Prepper Beef, because it's all about, on this show, keeping you ahead of the curve. We are not paranoid. We're prepared. So let me tell you very quickly about Prepper Beef. America's food supply is under attack. Beef is the primary target, with everything from climate change to bird flu being wielded against cattle. So it behooves Americans to stock up on long-term storage beef, and we have the solution. PrepareWithBeef.com is a veteran-owned company that sells premium ribeye steaks with a 25-year shelf life. Ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin. They don't sell beef crumbles or beef chunks that other survival food companies offer. At PrepareWithBeef.com, my viewers, listeners, my audience, the battle crew can take 25% off with the promo code RVM. Stock up now before cricket burgers become a thing by going to preparewithbeef.com and use promo code RVM. Folks, listen, these sponsors, really, really important. They help us keep the lights on. They're patriots. They're willing to stand with us and take a shot at sponsoring right out in the open a conservative show, give us the opportunity to get the truth out there. Well, we should support them with our business. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Okay, so let's get right into the show. Garland defies a subpoena. Okay, that just happened. So what Garland is telling us all is that he is above the law. How did he defy a subpoena? Well, he cited executive privilege. So we're going to talk about that. But before I do, let me tell you, you understand what I was talking about last night, right? About this Hunter Biden gun charge and how it's kind of a bullshit charge. I mean, and of course the Dems are pushing this fake new narrative, one, to generate sympathy for the Biden crime family, and two, to say, see, our justice system works exactly as intended. Nothing could be further from the truth, because this Hunter Biden gun charge, as bogus as it was, would have never been brought were it not for the influence of whistleblowers who came forward and said, wait a second, Hunter Biden's guilty of all sorts of crimes. I'm getting lots of pressure here to try to disappear all of these allegations against the Biden crime family, where we're not going to do it. So we come forward. So Hunter Biden ends up in court on this gun charge. But the real truth, the Biden crime family, where they could be implicated, are all the Foreign Agent Registration Act, the FARA stuff. Because as I told you yesterday, not only does that tie back to Barack Obama, I mean, he's a part of this, but it also ties back to Hillary Clinton, who was Secretary of State. And when Biden was allegedly taking all of these contributions from these countries that hate us, he was vice president. Now, what's the role or what's the job of the vice president? The vice president is president of the Senate, but he wields no real authority. And back then, Biden was just, Bobo the moron who basically traveled the country eating ice cream everywhere, had no responsibility whatsoever. But what you had, two of the most powerful Democrats working inside the Obama administration at the highest levels of our government. One, Barack Obama, who was president, and two, Hillary Clinton, who was Secretary of State. What's the job of the Secretary of State? To talk to foreign countries, sometimes conduct diplomacy on behalf of the United States, and sometimes while conducting diplomacy, you're talking to a country that does not like America. Well, here you have Clinton and Obama at the highest echelons of our government. Listen, I can almost guarantee you that there was a conversation like, look, we kind of need 15 degrees of separation from all of these, all of this foreign influence peddling. We got Biden here, who's the vice president. He's not really doing anything. He's a complete moron. He always complains about his family being poor. I mean, over the last 50 years in Washington, Biden would tell you often, oh, I'm the poorest guy in Washington. I'm the poorest guy in Washington. So here you have an opportunity where you have Barack Obama as president and Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, basically saying, hey, Joe Biden, you're the vice president. Hey, make you several $million if you do this on behalf of God and country. We'll make sure that you get paid. You can come to us with any of the offers that these countries have. You can come to us with what they want, right? And maybe we'll do what they say. Maybe we don't. But the bottom line is, FARA, you've got to register as a foreign agent. Foreign Agent Registration Act. You've got to tell the United States government that you're lobbying on behalf of the United States with another foreign entity. The whole reason why that law exists is to prevent U.S. officials from being bought and paid for by foreign countries. Well, the Bidens didn't do this. So if Hunter Biden goes to trial in September, which is looking like is going to happen, first of all, I don't think Joe Biden is going to allow him to do that. I think he's going to either commute his sentence or pardon him before that even happens. But this is so much more than just about the Biden crime family. I think that the Biden crime family always intended to be the fall guys, right? Joe Biden to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, who are very shrewd, ruthless politicians, probably set Joe Biden up. I mean, hey, we'll make you millions of bucks. Probably set the guy up to be their 15 degrees of separation from what was really happening here. And you can bet your ass that they don't want Hunter Biden going to testify in September on behalf of any of this stuff, too, because it would implicate Barack Obama, who was then president, and Hillary Clinton, who was then Secretary of State. You all understand that, right? I just think it's critically important that to understand that moving forward, which is why I wanted to recap that. And of course, you got Donald Trump on Capitol Hill today, talking to House Republicans, rallying the troops. And of course, Donald Trump talked to House Republicans today, and everybody that I talked to that was present in the room absolutely thought the guy was at the top of his game and was absolutely hysterical. The media, by contrast, just kind of lost their minds. Again, pushing one hoax after the other. Said that Donald Trump said that Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee, was horrible. Of course, what the media leaves out is that what he was talking about was voter fraud in the city of Milwaukee. Of course, the media always leave. That's all they have, right? Democrats and the media, all they have are lies. And so that brings me to Garland, because all of this sort of constellation of different things happening right now. And you have Garland. He defies a congressional subpoena. All of this is over the Hur report audio. Remember that the special counsel, Robert Hur, felt like Joe Biden was a feeble-old man, which is why he didn't charge him. Remember all that? Well, Garland issued a statement yesterday, and this is what it was. It's deeply disappointing that the House of Representatives has turned a serious congressional authority into a partisan weapon. Today's vote disregards the constitutional separation of powers, the Justice Department's need to protect its investigations, and the substantial amount of information we have provided to the committees. I will always stand up for this department, its employees, and its vital mission to defend our democracy. Folks, do you realize, first of all, for Garland to just completely blow off a subpoena citing executive privilege when Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro did the exact same thing. And keep in mind, they were working in the White House, directly reported to the president. Bannon was Trump's chief of staff. Peter Navarro was the president's economic advisor. Both of these people worked directly with the president on the daily. They both cited executive privilege. They were not given executive privilege. But here, Garland is citing the same thing, simply saying, well, I've got to protect our Justice Department investigations. Folks, do you realize how bad the audio, because all of this is about not turning over the audio from the Hur report, from the special counsel's Hur report. They don't want the American people hearing just how badly gone Joe Biden is. Imagine how damning that secret tape is, that Garland himself, Merrick Garland, would rather be held in contempt of Congress and risk going to prison, because all things being equal, Trump wins in November. If the election were held today, he would. Garland could be thrown in prison for the exact same reason that Bannon and Navarro were. Right? Same rules for everybody. No one's above the law. Just imagine how bad that tape must be for Garland is willing to risk all of that. And by the way, we should be so thankful that this mouth-breathing commie is not on the United States Supreme Court. And so, got to get into the timeline. I saw Representative Andy Biggs talking about the timeline of the lawfare against Trump, because it's important, because Garland would have you believe, along with all the Democrats in the media, that the Justice Department is working perfectly. Remember what I told you, my father yesterday, saying every single mainstream media article that he reads, they act as if the Justice Department is operating just as it was always intended to be: fair, impartial, blind justice. Of course, we all know that that's not the case. But let me break down this timeline for you. And shout out to Andy Biggs for really breaking this down. But it's so important. Anybody that can think for themselves, anybody that has a brain up here, should be able to put two and two together on this. Because what's fascinating is that thinking critically in today's day and age is called conspiracy theory. But without citizens that think critically, without citizens that think for themselves, I'm not sure that America can survive. Because we sure as hell shouldn't be trusting our government, not about this, not about anything, especially given how often our government lies to us. So let's look at this timeline. On November 7th, 2022, Trump teases and says, I've got a big announcement coming. On September 9th, 2022, Joe Biden says, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power if he does run, making sure that he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president. November 15th, 2022, Trump announces that he's running for president. November 18th, 2022, Matthew Colangelo, number 3 in the DOJ, resigns. 3 days after Trump announces that he's running for president, the number 3 in the Department of Justice resigns to go take a demotion to work for sloppy Alvin Bragg in a New York City prosecutor's office. And what's fascinating about this is what Michael Cohen said back then. Listen to this.
So the answer is, yeah, Matt Colangelo was brought in, and the hope is that he actually does something. I mean, Alvin has been out there. You know, we have a term amongst ourselves on my little chat group there. He's Alvin bragging about what? $1.6 million. Donald could raise that in 5 minutes of grifting off of these unsuspecting, maggots that are just, yeah.
So first of all, there you have Michael Cohen and members of the media calling MAGA supporters maggots. Just disgusting how much these people, well, it's just disgusting. These people are disgusting, and it's disgusting how much these people loathe just regular everyday Americans, 75 million plus who voted for Donald Trump. But the interesting thing about that is that was Michael Cohen in December of 2022. So in November 18th of 2022, Matthew Colangelo, number 3 in the DOJ, goes to work for sloppy Alvin Bragg, and Michael Cohen's on TV just a little over a month later celebrating Matthew Colangelo leaving the Biden Justice Department to go to New York City to go after Trump. November 18th, 2022. Merrick Garland announces the appointment of Jack Smith to head 2 different cases against Donald Trump. November 18th, 2022. Fannie Willis's paramour, Nathan Wade, spends 8 hours in meetings with White House lawyers. December 2nd, 2022. Matthew Colangelo decides to work for Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg office starting December 5th. After December 5th, 2022, what happened? All of these indictments started to roll out. So, folks, listen to me. It takes an extraordinary amount of coordination to make this happen. An extraordinary amount. This lawfare isn't just happening as just randomly in states, perfectly coordinated. It just so happened to be timed with Trump's announcement. And oh, by the way, the Republican National Convention and all the primary days. I mean, it's please, please, please do not be stupid enough to believe, and I know that you won't, but to the libs who are listening, to people that are persuadable, to independents, you got to see this for what it is. And you see the Dems, they hate things that they can't control. Everything about the Democrats is lying, is about keeping and retaining power. And here you have, this is why you see the Democrats ramping up their attacks on the courts in the ways that they are. Listen to AOC. I'm telling you, folks, AOC is just, she's just a complete and total moron, Comrade Cortez. But listen to her talk about the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, Justice Alito's position is laughable in this idea that he can be and that the court should be accountable to nobody, and that the only person that they should be accountable to are themselves. This kind of Scouts promise sort of setup for how we should be having ethics standards for the highest and most consequential court in the land. It is completely unacceptable. And not only is it unacceptable, but to have any one of our co-equal branches be completely unaccountable to the others is paving the path to authoritarianism, tyranny, the abuse of power in the United States. And it is structurally completely unsustainable. And so it is not a question of if Congress has jurisdiction and power over the Supreme Court. It is what power are we going to exercise in order to rein in a fundamentally unaccountable and rogue court.
Folks, listen to me. That is like an intergalactic level stupid right there. Someone who just does not understand basic civics, social studies, an elementary school understanding of how our government is structured. What the Democrats cannot control, they attack, they destroy, they burn down, they fundamentally transform. They don't have anything, and I mean it, they have nothing but lies. No message to the American people that resonates. They have nothing but lies. And I'm telling you, folks, people like James Carville, they know this, they understand it, and they have been sounding the alarm because the Democrats used to be a party. I mean, I'm telling you right here, right now, folks, it would be very difficult for Republicans to beat the party of Bill Clinton. It just would. Where the Democrats were pro-secure borders, where the Democrats were pro-balancing a budget, where the Democrats had a reputation of supporting the American working class, that party would be tough to beat. And look, the Democrats cheat now, so they're still tough to beat because we have to guard against that. But James Carville recognizes that the Democrats have a serious problem. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because they're going to destroy each other. It's just a question of when. right? But listen to James Carville. And if you have kids around, make sure you throw some earmuffs up because there's some explicit language in this. But you got to understand, James Carville is a Clinton guy. He is not happy with where the Democrats are now, and he is sure as hell not happy with Biden as a candidate. Listen to him talking about the Democrat Party having just no real message at all.
I think Democratic culture has too many preachy females. It's too much. Don't eat hamburgers. Don't watch football. All right, wear condom. Like, man, shit, leave me alone. You okay? I got a goddamn life to lead. You know, guy works at a tire repair shop in suburban Atlanta. You had motherfuckers working 50 hours a week, you know, making $16.50 an hour, and he wants to watch the football game. He wants to smoke dope and drink beer, and then everybody's telling him he's slothful, and they reject that shit. And you know, I just think some of it is cosmopolitan condensation, if you will. Like, you need to lead the kind of life we lead, not the kind of life you lead. And it pisses people off.
Well, that's across the board. That's black, white. That's a big part of Trump. That's a big part of Trump.
It's Hispanic. We're going to lose Hispanic males. Yeah. We're going to fucking lose them.
And that's on that male-female issue. That's on, I mean, you know, it very much, they want to see the strong, this is a generalization, but strong dominant male in a household. I mean, you know.
Folks, listen. James Carville and I do not agree on hardly anything, but he sees the Democrats being a 5-alarm fire. You can only divide people into groups so much. And so are the Democrats still formidable? Of course they are. The Democrats, is there going to be a red wave? Definitely not. We do not ever talk about that. And if you hear anyone talking about that, tell them that they're wrong, because you need to bring your friends, your family, everybody that you know to the polls, right, to push back against that. The Democrats have a system of chasing ballots down that's second to none. The Democrats have 100+ dark money groups out there with hundreds of millions of dollars funneled through Act Blue, which is their digital fundraising platform, to all of these organizations with what's called dark money. We have no idea where it comes from, to build and maintain this election infrastructure in swing states all across the country. Democrats just announced that they're dumping the Democrat National Committee $2 million+ into what they believe are safe seats, safe Republican seats. They're going on offense in many state legislative districts that are traditionally Republican legislative districts, because they believe the Republicans have been asleep at the wheel with regards to building an election turnout machine, a mail-in ballot chase machine. We have been. Now we're catching up in some areas. And so my point is that are the Democrats still formidable? Of course they are. But unless they have some sort of electrifying leader in the Democrat Party, somebody that's reform-minded, I think the Democrat Party self-immolates in several years. Because even if they accomplish what they want to accomplish, lie, cheat, steal their way to power and victory on election day, it still doesn't end well for them. And that leads me to election fraud. You know, you hear the media say over and over and over again, especially as it pertains to Donald Trump, well, there's no proof of widespread fraud. Oh, Donald Trump pushed the conspiracy theory about election fraud again. They're widely debunked, or they love to trot out every single case that was tried failed. Well, of course, they leave out the fact that almost every single case was dismissed on standing. Almost no cases were actually heard in a hearing or in a trial setting on the merits. Every day that goes by, there's more proof that comes out that 2020 was an absolute disaster. And folks who are maybe watching or listening for the first time, you might be tired of talking about 2020. You might be tired of hearing about 2020, but you cannot tire of it. That's what they want. They want us to be ashamed of talking about this. The Democrats, the media, the deep state. They want us to move on as fast as humanly possible. They don't want us to look into anything. Remember, if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it. They want to shame you into thinking that the 2020 election was fine and that you're a total crazy person for believing that it wasn't. So this headline from the Gateway Pundit. Postal Service releases final report. Contract driver Jesse Morgan vindicated. Report confirms he hauled a trailer of ballots from New York to Pennsylvania in late October. We're talking October 22nd, 2020. The election was November 4th. So the real question is, and I'll get to this, I'll read a little bit here from the article, but how many people are requesting hundreds of thousands of mail-in ballots October 22nd? What, 2 weeks before Election Day? Now, listen, I imagine some probably were, but hundreds of thousands? Listen, folks, that's important for I'll tell you here in a second why that's important. But this article, as the Gateway Pundit reported back in 2020, election fraud whistleblowers came forward in December following the controversial election, including one who witnessed the shipping of an estimated 288,000 completed ballots across 3 state lines on October 21st, 2020. The information was made public at a press conference by the Amistad Project of the Thomas More Society, a national constitutional litigation organization. The Amistad Project said at the time that they had sworn declarations that over 300,000 ballots were issued in Arizona, 548,000 in Michigan, 204,000 in Georgia, and over 121,000 in Pennsylvania. They said that their evidence reveals a multi-state illegal effort by USPS, U.S. Postal Service workers, to influence the election in at least 3 of 6 swing states. So Jesse Morgan, who is this subcontractor that was working for the Postal Service, he's the whistleblower that we're talking about, he said in his testimony, in total, I saw 24 gaylords or a large cardboard container of ballots loaded into my trailer. These gaylords contained plastic trays. I call them totes or trays of ballots stacked on top of each other. All the envelopes were the same size. I saw the envelopes had return addresses. They were complete ballots. So what's fascinating about this is that the American Thinker broke this story. Joe Freed at the American Thinker. He says, you might think that this is a yarn that Morgan made up, but you'd be wrong. In its highly redacted closing memorandum, the Post Office Inspector General, the OIG, does not deny that Morgan was a subcontractor truck driver who took mail from Bethpage to Harrisburg and then to Lancaster. The OIG claims that Morgan identified the wrong trailer number and that his estimate of ballots could be much lower. In the document, the OIG acknowledges that a contractor in Rochester, New York, printed out 650,000 general election ballots that went to Pennsylvania. Of the total, 450,000 went to Philadelphia County and 200,000 went to Chester County. In explaining how the printing company delivered ballots to the Pennsylvania counties, the OIG states, redacted name of printing company explained, but could not confirm the ballots for both Pennsylvania's BOE, Pennsylvania's Board of Elections, were most likely delivered to those respective locations by their delivery trucks or entered in the mail stream locally in Rochester, New York, emphasis added. So after a year worth of investigation, the Post Office Inspector General was still not sure if the 2 batches of printed ballots were shipped into Pennsylvania in trucks owned by the printing company or were taken to Rochester area post offices to be delivered in government trucks. Folks, listen to me. So much for, well, there's no widespread proof of election fraud. Do you remember this story? Do you remember what they did to Jesse Morgan? I think his name is Jesse Morgan. Yeah, Jesse Morgan, the truck driver. They said in the moment, and this is important, they said in the moment that didn't even work for the post office, didn't drive a truck that day. They basically shut this guy up. They threatened him. They ruined it. They tried to ruin his life. for simply speaking up about the 2020 election. Folks, I lived it. Remember, I was running for office at the time. Remember what I told you. It's important that you understand that the number of mail-in ballots during any election, not just 2020, but any election, the number of mail-in ballots is not speculative. On election night, we knew exactly how many Republican ballots, Democrat ballots, independent, other there were. Even if we gave the Democrats, 60, 70% of independents, and I got the Republican vote, my opponent got the Democrat vote, there was still no honest mathematical path, even with all the ballots counted, that he could catch me. We were going to have about a 13,000 vote margin of victory any way you sliced it. Then a few days after Election Day, there started the ballot dumps. One of 4,000 votes, one of 9,000 votes. What does that curiously add up to? 13,000. A couple minutes later, my opponent's Democrat scampers out to the podium and declares victory. And I thought to myself, well, geez, crazy. I didn't declare victory right off the bat. But here he is declaring victory. He must know something that I don't. And come to find out in that moment, I'm telling you folks that I lived it. I saw the fraud firsthand. I'll never be gaslit into believing anything else. But I'm telling you all this because in the moment, Jesse Morgan comes forward, gets completely smeared. Anybody that came forward was completely smeared. And my buddy, Tony Schaefer, who, by the way, I'm going to have on the show next week. You've got to see that episode because this guy, I was running for office back then, but Tony Schaefer was at the tip of the spear for all of these investigations, working as an augmentee for the Amistad Project, investigating all of these ballot discrepancies here in Pennsylvania. Tony Schaefer is worked in the special operations community in the United States military. This guy does not blow smoke. This guy knows, he's one of the most efficient and honest people that I know. He said that and I'll let him tell you this next week, but he said that he got a call from Bill Barr telling him to hand over Jesse Morgan immediately to the FBI. Tony Schaefer said, well, I'm not going to do that. Not unless he has official whistleblower protection and a lawyer. Bill Barr said, no, turn him over anyway. Tony Schaefer refused. Within 1 hour, he was fired from his job at the Amistad Project. Investigation terminated. He would also tell you about U.S. Marshals that he had on site willing to conduct a thorough federal investigation into Jesse Morgan and his truck and everything else. Bill Barr yelled at him and told him that the FBI was the sole law enforcement organization that would be responsible for investigating election-related crimes. Tony Schaefer does not blow smoke. But what's so frustrating about this is that the media and the Democrats and everybody, even Republicans folded on this. And we come to find out, it's 2024. We're going into another presidential election and this just starts coming out now. Things like this just start coming out now. Listen to this.
Wanda has been arrested. The Democrat operative who was caught on camera allegedly stuffing ballots in Bridgeport, Connecticut last year was charged with unlawfully possessing another person's ballot and witness tampering. But this has nothing to do with her alleged stuffing in 2023. This goes all the way back to 2019. Wanda was arrested for ballot fraud in the city's 2019 Democrat primary for the same candidate she helped elect in 2023, Mayor Joe Ganim. Wanda is accused of filling out someone's absentee ballot, telling them to not vote in person, and then asking them to not tell investigators about what she said. Wanda isn't the only Democrat arrested for fraud. 3 other Bridgeport Democrats were charged. One of them's a city councilman. Wanda's been suspended with pay from her city job for months. She works for the front desk for the mayor that she got into office. Fox 61 reporter Matt Caron paid Mayor Joe a visit today. Watch this.
We'd like to talk with the mayor about some of the city workers being arrested for election fraud.
Hi, I'm on. I'll be right with you.
Thanks.
We waited. Fast forward. Mayor Ganim didn't want to talk to us, but his 2019 and 2023 mayoral opponents did.
I always felt like I had been cheated. I didn't know the depth of it.
We caught it live on video directly from City Hall. The players and the actors remain the same.
Both Marilyn Moore and John Gomes say they believe they should be occupying Bridgeport's corner office.
Well, actually, I'm going down to City Hall and tell Joe Ganim get out of my chair.
Candidates were cheated. Voters don't trust the system. This is why you need squeaky clean elections every time. We need every Wanda locked up before November.
Folks, this stuff is real. It's only just starting to come to fruition now. And I saw somebody in the chat saying what we're up against is people don't have any idea it's evil. You are so right. And when I was planning on talking about this a little later in the show, but what you all need to realize is we are not just up against the Democrats. We're up against the deep state, who is aligned with big tech, who is aligned with big Hollywood, who is aligned with corporate media. We're up against everybody. If there really was, using a Star Wars analogy, rebels versus the Empire, we're the rebels. But I found this video of CNN, and I wanted to show it to you all, of the CNN broadcasting live during the 2020 election, and they unintentionally captured a woman stuffing multiple ballots into a ballot drop box. Okay, check this out.
Next to the ballot drop box in Cleveland, Ohio. And I said the purposely because this is the only ballot drop box in Cleveland, Ohio. The only ballot drop box in Cuyahoga County, Ohio. You can see this woman right here casting her vote. Did you vote for Reagan or Jimmy Carter? Carter, okay. We don't want to get too personal. People, but you can see
100 ballots. She's putting one ballot after the next. Now, listen, 9 times out of 10, that's a crime. Now, you can be a ballot courier, but you have to be licensed and go through training to do it. I highly doubt that she was. And I'm telling you, I witnessed people stuffing ballots in unsupervised drop boxes myself, which is a crime. It's illegal. And what I'm getting to with this election fraud stuff, this voter fraud stuff, if we've established that all the Democrats do is lie, and we look at the track record of the deep state over the last 20 years, why would you believe anything but the fact that they would absolutely cheat in elections? I mean, I just showed you a clip of Wanda, who is a Democrat, cheating in a Democrat primary. If Democrats cheat in their own primaries, what do you think they're capable of in areas or counties that they control? Do you think that they cheat in a general? Yes. Given how often the government, the Democrats, and the media lie to us, why would anyone assume that our elections are perfect when they have done nothing but lie? And even, listen, it's not just, I'm not just talking about this just to talk about it on the show or like talk about it out of nowhere. It's not in the news cycle. People are talking about this more and more and more. Non-political types like Joe Rogan are talking about this more and more and more because he sees what I see, what you see. That the government does nothing but lie. The Democrats do nothing but lie. So if that is truly what we believe, then why would they tell the truth about elections where the ultimate power is on the line? They wouldn't. Listen to Joe Rogan.
I think from jail.
Yeah, 100%.
Trump will win.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't want to cry election fraud, but why would I imagine that they would manipulate everything openly except the election?
But this is what
you know what I'm saying?
But this.
Joe Rogan is absolutely right. If they lie about one thing, it stands to reason that they lie about one thing. Hell, they're lying about everything. If they're lying about everything, it stands to reason that they would also lie about elections. Okay, let me take a quick break, tell you about some of our other great sponsors. It's done with debt. Debt. You go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. And here's the truth. The system traps you in debt. High interest Credit cards and loans make it nearly impossible to pay off your debt, and insane inflation keeps you stuck paycheck to paycheck. Done with Debt is your lifeline. Done with Debt has an ingenious new strategy to help erase your debt faster and easier than you thought possible. Done with Debt analyzes all the debt options that you qualify for. They know how to reduce bills. They know how to cut interest rates. Their skilled staff of negotiators know how to get debt out of your life permanently without bankruptcy and without a loan. Done with Debt are the experts in brilliant strategies for eliminating debt, but you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive. Here's how easy they make it. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Select VNN. That's Vigilant News Network at checkout. That's donewithdebt.com. Also, My Patriot Supply. You'd think our country has a reliable power grid, but we don't. It wasn't built to last. When the next outage strikes, plug in the Grid Doctor 300 from My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply has helped millions of Americans prepare for emergencies. And power loss, that is an emergency. Our failing grid means more are coming, and we've seen the signs over the past few years. Get the Grid Doctor 300 right now at my website, preparewithvnn.com. This generator lasts longer and runs stronger than others. Connect 2 solar panels at once and harness up to 200 watts of charging power from the sun. Use it while it charges. It charges fast as well. Multiple ports means no device is left behind. You can run phones, you can run fans, you can run CPAP machines, even mini refrigerators. So take $50 off your Grid Doctor 300 at preparewithvnn.com. That includes fast, free shipping. That's preparewithvnn.com. So we talk about election fraud. We talking about how the Democrats lie, cheat, and steal to accomplish basically everything in today's day and age. Democrat Party doesn't even have a real message, and that's just not me saying it. That's James Carville. That's their guy saying it. So you got to ask yourself, well, what's their plan this go around? Now, well, we've established that I believe that the Democrats are leaving the border open to import as many possible voters as humanly possible. The problem with that, among many issues, is that obviously a ton of human trafficking going on, a slave trade going on. Children are being sold into sex slavery. They're being sold into actual slavery. Over 85,000 children have gone missing at the southern border under Joe Biden. Crickets from the media, crickets from Democrats in Congress. Their silence is evil, and there's no question about it. But it's also a very, very grave national security threat. And a national security threat that is growing by the day. In March, 4 members of ISIS from Tajikistan killed 150 people at a concert in Moscow. 8 suspected ISIS members from Tajikistan crossed our southern border illegally months ago and were just arrested in major U.S. cities. One of which was in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, my home state, in the city of Philadelphia. Yet it doesn't seem like the Democrats really give a shit about this. It doesn't seem like the FBI really give a shit about this. They're busy prosecuting January 6 grandmas. And at the border, Border Patrol agents are getting completely fed up. CNN was down there. I mean, CNN, right? Hardly a conservative outlet. Listen to what this border agent told the CNN reporter.
What do you think this executive order, is that going to do anything?
Well, it only took him, 3 years and 7 months?
In a rare encounter, we meet a Border Patrol agent eager to vent. He asks us to mask his identity, worried he'll be fired for talking so openly.
Well, his job to get right, secure the border. We didn't have to babysit.
Does it frustrate you when you hear that, when you hear the narrative, like, why aren't Border Patrol doing anything? And
our hands are tied. If I don't allow them to cross and they call and complain, now I'm in trouble. I'm going to lose my job.
He blames the current administration.
If I don't allow them to cross, I'm going to lose my job. If I don't allow them to invade our country, I'm going to lose my job. He says earlier in the interview that I serve on the Border Patrol, have a lot of pride in this job. We get to protect America's borders from threats. That's why he joined. That man is essentially been reduced to a travel agent partner for illegal alien invaders into our country. And even though the media would have you believe that terrorists are coming into this country and gangs are coming into this country through our southern border, it's actually happening. So get this, terrorist watch list encounters at the southern border. Fiscal year 2017, 2. Fiscal year 2018, 6. Fiscal year after 2 years of Trump. Fiscal year 2019, 0. Fiscal year of 23. Biden takes office. Fiscal year 2021, 15. 22, 98. 23, 169. 24, this year, 80. Already. And what I'm struck by is that Border Patrol agent's his words of, if I don't let them in, I will be fired. Which means that somewhere, someone above him in the chain of command, I think we obviously know who this is saying, if you don't allow this to continue, we're going to fire. If you don't allow us to be invaded, we're going to fire you. But what comes along with that are children being sold into sex slavery. Comes along with that are women raped 100 times before they even get to the southern border. Like humanitarian issues that are happening, the suffering that's happening on our southern border is unprecedented. We're empowering drug cartels. We've got fentanyl pouring into our country. It's the #1 cause of death of Americans 18 to 45. Yet if I don't let these people across our border, if I don't leave our border wide open, I'm going to get fired. This isn't just a policy difference. This is that Border Patrol agent basically saying that the Biden administration is allowing America to be invaded, and that means it's purposeful. Of course, we know that. But folks, something bad is going to happen. And just as something bad, like you see Russian warships off the coast of Cuba, something like 90 miles off the coast of Florida. They're in international waters, conducting mission drills and missile drills and things like that. If you think that our enemies, both conventional and asymmetric, aren't noticing the weakness in the White House, aren't noticing that America is flailing, that has no guiding purpose or direction in the world right now, you'd be wrong, because our enemies do see it. They sense blood in the water. And as we are bleeding out as a country, thanks to the animated corpse that is Joe Biden and his Democrat allies, both in the House, Senate, and in the media, the Biden administration is shooting down $24 billion in pay raises for enlisted troops, after spending 7 times more than what their pay raise would cost on the war in Ukraine. Folks, this kind of stuff is untenable. The Biden administration strongly opposes a proposal to raise the pay of junior enlisted service members in the military, even after nearly spending 7 times the proposed amount on Ukraine and the broader region's security. The House Armed Service Committee's draft of the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA, would give all junior enlisted troops a pay raise, representing a rough total of $24.4 billion over 5 years, according to the Congressional Budget Office. The Biden administration said in a statement on Tuesday that it does not support the proposed significant permanent pay hike until it has had a chance to conduct a compensation review. So our enemies are sensing blood in the waters. Our enemies are 90 miles off the coast of Florida. Our enemies are crossing the southern border. at the open invitation of the Biden administration, all while he's cutting the pay of our junior enlisted troops who are the door kickers and the tip of the spear. How this isn't treason and sedition, folks, I don't know. I don't know. All right, quick break. Let me tell you about Sweetamine and the importance of fighting off chronic pain. And you can fight it off. I've been taking Sweetamine for over a couple of months now. I've got tons of chronic pain from my time in the light infantry. My ankles hurt, my knees hurt, my hips hurt, my back hurt. It's hard to even tie my shoes some days. And I'm only 43. The reason why Sweetamine helps with this stuff is that it's composed mainly of the amino acid glycine, and that's the nutrient the immune system uses to regulate inflammation. Most of the diseases that make people sick and die these days are rooted in chronic inflammation, mainly due to glycine deficiency. The aches and pains we feel as we get older are mainly due to chronic inflammation. So you could see how all of this stuff is tied together. Once daily serving of Sweetamine provides 8 grams of glycine, and that's enough to stop all excess inflammation right where it starts. With once daily Sweetamine, most people feel the reduction in pain after just a few days. Sweetamine is also great for recovery after workouts. A 12-day challenge trial pack of Sweetamine is only $19.95 with free shipping, and it's sold completely risk-free. So if you don't like the taste, you think it sucks, you think it's not working, you can send it back. Folks, I am not a snake oil salesman. I would not be trying to push something on you that I didn't try myself. I would not be trying to push something on you unless that I knew it worked. So if you're suffering from chronic pain, give Sweetamine a try. I'm telling you, it really does work. You can use it just like sugar in your favorite beverage, smoothie, sprinkled on your cereal, any way you like. All natural Sweetamine contains no sugar or carbs, has only 24 calories, and is great for diabetics. You can buy Sweetamine online at sweetamine.com, SWEETAMINE.com, or call 855-GET-SWEET or 855-438-7933. Enter the promo code Sean, and you get a $5 discount. Okay, so what's the deep state's next play? Let me tell you about that. Actually, before I do, make sure that you take a couple of seconds and smash that little green thumb. Smash that like button. I always like to try to get up to 200 likes before the end of the show. Smash that like button. It gets us closer to the leaderboard on Rumble. It's also a testament to how powerful the battle crew is. Okay. When we talk about hoaxes, we talk about the deep state, we talk about their next moves. Oftentimes, all you have to do is look no further than how some of the Democrats are talking. The reason why I say some of the Democrats is because there are some Democrats that are on the tip of the spear for all their hoaxes, which means they're involved in the planning phase, they're involved in the implementation, they're involved in the actual execution, they're involved in the actual comms, going out to the media and lying to the American people. Adam Schiff is one of those people. This pencil-necked Poindexter has been involved in every single Democrat lie, Democrat perpetrated hoax since the very beginning. He was a core player at the center of the Russian collusion hoax. Listen to him on Capitol Hill in a committee hearing just a couple of days ago.
The party formerly of the moral majority is now, I suppose, hoping to fashion some kind of immoral majority to reinstate Donald Trump as president.
You hear that? Reinstate. Reinstate. Not duly elected, reinstate. I think there's something else. I think at some point, and I don't know how you all feel about this, and so just go with me here. And talking to my friend Tony Schaefer about the election fraud stuff, Tony Schaefer was saying, well, because I asked him, and we'll talk about this in the show in front of all of you as well, but I asked him, why the FBI, the deep state, CIA, our intelligence agencies, the deck was stacked against Trump. And Tony had told me it was kind of amazing to be at the forefront of all of it, to see how the fix was really in for Trump. But I said, it's not like Biden's an animated corpse. Other than being able to have freedom of maneuver and not a president that's not really alive, what incentive is there for our intelligence agencies to come out against Trump the way that they did? And his response to me was something that was, well, it made a hell of a lot of sense. He said a lot of the never-Trumpers and the neocon Republicans, traditional Republicans that worked hand in hand with the Trump administration, but have been working as part of Republican politics for a long time, did not like Trump for the same reasons that they did not like Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan didn't do what they told him, and Trump did not do what they told him. Both of those men were uncontrollable. And so they thought that by getting rid of Biden, they thought that by getting rid of Trump, that Biden would be better. Biden's a traditional Democrat. He's the old Scranton Joe, a moderate. And of course, you're probably sitting there laughing at that, thinking, what a bunch of dumbasses. And you'd be right. They are a bunch of dumbasses, because the hallmarks of never Trumpers and some of these old school neoconservative Republicans are that they just underestimate the moment that we're in, and they underestimate the threat that this nation faces, and they underestimate the existential threat that is the Democrat Party. So it makes sense that they would say, well, Biden's probably the lesser of two evils. And now I think they know they're wrong. And so at some point, I think people in the deep state are going to say, okay, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. So I want to hear what you think in the live chat. At some point, do you believe the deep state's just going to say, okay, we're going to let this election go on, let the chips fall where they may. And if Trump ends up in office again, only 4 years, we'll do everything that we can to thwart his presidency, just like we did the first time. Only have to deal with him for 4 years, and we'll work behind the scenes and use the oppressive power of a stifling bureaucracy to crush his agenda. Do you think, let me know in the chat what you think. Let me know in the chat if you think the deep state's kind of just going to let the chips fall where they may, or do you think they're really going to get involved and push things even farther? See, I think the deep state is only effective if most Americans, or a large share of Americans, believe that it's a conspiracy theory or a myth. I think the deep state, yeah, they're getting more and more brazen, but still a significant percentage of the country doesn't even believe that they exist. And if they don't believe that they exist, what happens when they do? And is the deep state effective if their agenda is all out in the open? So if that's true, how far can the deep state really push things? I'm just saying. So here we go. Gino, the deep state won't give up when they're this close to their goal. Look, got Cookie Monster. They'll try to steal it again. Lenny Ball, no, they'll never stop attacking us. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong about this. I think they'll continue to push it because they're all closer to death. Okay, all right. So I might be wrong about it, but of course, hey, this is your show. It always will be. But listen, here's why I don't know. I mean, look at Joe Biden here. The deep state at some level, yeah, they've got an animated corpse, a meat puppet in Joe Biden. And on some level, they probably like being able to get away with what they want to get away with. But Biden really is gone. And him being gone presents a real national security threat. So look at Joe Biden at Chuck Schumer talking. He shakes Chuck Schumer's hand for our friends who are listening, and then forgets 3 seconds later that he shook Chuck Schumer's hand and is trying to shake it again. Watch this.
Now our great speaker, our partner, who all of these bills we've made.
So Biden shakes Schumer's hand. Schumer walks up and down the line. Biden goes to shake it again. Or here's Biden in the G7 in Italy. What you're seeing here is a parachute landing, a parachute demonstration. All the world leaders are watching this parachute demonstration. And Joe Biden just starts wandering off. And look at the world leaders. The Italian prime minister in the pink jumpsuit goes over to Joe Biden, grabs him, redirects him to the presentation. Joe Biden, it's like a silver alert. So they clearly see the emperor has no clothes. And what's crazy is that you talk about the government lying, you talk about the deep state lying, you talk about the media lying and the Democrats lying. Every one of those G7 leaders knows that the president is completely gone, yet not a single damn one of them will go in front of the media and say, holy smokes, Biden is just an animated corpse. Oh, man, Biden isn't the same as you. They are just content to lie. And so it's just unbelievable to me, folks. So we'll see what the deep state does. It doesn't look like my theory was very popular with the battle crew, and that's okay. But so tomorrow, I appreciate you all being with me today. Tomorrow, I'm working real hard to get Brian Dean Wright back on the show. He is our resident expert, former CIA guy, disaffected Democrat, come over to the America First side. One of my favorite people, one of the smartest people around, former CIA operations officer. All sorts of stuff happening with Saudi Arabia and them ditching the petrodollar. That has dire implications for the American economy. We're going to talk about those Russian warships off the coast of Cuba and what they mean for us. Brian Dean Wright, if you want to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to U.S. foreign policy and the threats that face this country, watch our shows. Watch the shows with Brian Dean Wright. I mean, he's an amazing guy. So I'm working real hard to get him tomorrow. So the show, by the way, Friday show is coming together really, really nicely, but make sure you get your butts back here for the show live right here on Rumble. Make sure you smash that like button, that little green thumb beneath the video. Go ahead and smash it. And got a flag here from Aunt Cindy. Make sure that, Steel Woman, thank you for the Rumble rant tip. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm so grateful for everything that you all do to chip into this show. It helps immensely. It really, really, really does. So thank you. This is your show. It always will be. So make sure you're here tomorrow. Tell your family and your friends to subscribe to Battleground Live. We want you in the trenches fighting to save this country. And in the meantime, keep the faith. Take action in your communities. Do everything that you can to get in the fight and save this country, because it's all on the line in 2024, folks. So anyways, have a great night. Thank you all. McGroin Nation, thank you for being here on Battleground Live and part of the battle crew. As always, God bless you all, and God bless this amazing, exceptional country that we call home. Take care. Good night, and I will see you tomorrow, Friday. Be there.
Mike Lindell here, and like you, I see our country being destroyed daily. We face massive economic issues, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are people in power who threaten the values that have made our country great. Well, I've been a believer in gold and silver for a long time, and I've searched for years for a partner that shares my values. Well, Genesis Gold Group showed me how easy it is to protect your IRA, 401k, or your retirement with gold and silver. Their faith-driven approach to service and stewardship is one that stands out from the rest.
To get your free definitive gold guide and get started learning more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times, visit treasureandtrust.com now. Fill out the basic contact form and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, that's treasureandtrust.com or call 855-625-7760.